what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Real Sports Updates here, back again with another video. So you see the title, you see the thumbnail. Let's get into the grades for the Chargers. Pretty much the free agency slash offseason. I kind of went through the draft a little bit. I've already gave my draft grade on all of the picks. So I kind of wanted to get into free agency as we get a little closer to, you know, the mandatory mini camps and stuff like that. Free agency is still open, but you know, most of the big signings that have happened are the big fish in the pond, as you know, to speak. They're already gone. So you know, there might be a few more signings here and there, but you know, the majority of the free agency signings are pretty much done, you know, for most teams. And I kind of wanted to get into it for the Chargers and give my grade right now. So go down the list, the notable free agents, and forgive me guys, I might be missing one or whatever, but these are the ones I just came up with off my head, off the top of my head, the ones that are going to matter as far as the season goes. So obviously J.C. Jackson, Sebastian Joseph Day, Austin Johnson, Gerald Everett, DeAndre Carter, Troy Reeder, Khalil Mack, Will Clapp, and Kyle Van Noy, as of the other day. And again, these are just the free agency signings. These don't count the draft. And even Khalil Mack, I mean, I'll put him in the free agency, but he was a trade technically. So, but I want to get into it because I think the defensive upgrades obviously are the biggest things that everybody's going to point to. And it's the biggest thing that, you know, the Chargers needed, you know, especially to, you know, elevate the team to a level where, you know that you're going to compete and you're going to be competing for, you know, a Super Bowl, not just getting in the playoffs, not just, you know, winning a certain amount of games, but your defense, you know, the upgrades on defense really put the Chargers at that next level of competition, right? Really being taken seriously as far as Super Bowl contenders, right? Being in the Super Bowl bubble, the 6 to 7 teams who have realistic expectations of making the Super Bowl. I think that's where the Chargers are now. They were not there last year, obviously, but I think that's where they are now. You know, obviously the defense needed upgrades from all three facets, and that's what happened. You know, you got defensive line help, right, which was the most important and the most pending matter that needed to be taken care of on the defense, right? You got defensive line help, you know, Sebastian Joseph Day, Austin Johnson. Two big signings, right? Two big guys to take up a lot of space in the middle of the defense. The linebacker position now has gotten addressed in free agency with the signing of Troy Reeder from the Rams. And obviously in the secondary as well, too, J.C. Jackson, right? One of the biggest free agents out there on the market. You know, he was a guy very successful under Bill Belichick in New England, and the Chargers were able to convince him to come to L.A. So all three facets, you know, all three levels of defense got addressed. Now, offensively, you know, there wasn't a pressing need for offensive talent as much as there was on the defensive side. The offensive line was good, and obviously, you know, the Chargers addressed it in the draft with, Zion Johnson, and you know, they also made the signing of Will Clapp from the New Orleans Saints. He's a guy, he has experience at center position and I believe at both guard positions, so he is a guy who can, you know, go into a game and plug in at either of those three positions and give you some snaps if needed. So I think that was a big value get as well too. You know, you can never have enough offensive linemen, you can never have enough offensive line depth. And Will Clapp, you know, he played in the system that the Chargers are currently running now, so you know, he's a guy who can just plug in and go. So obviously, you know, that is definitely a paramount offensive line depth. Gerald Everett, I believe, is one of the most underrated signings that the Chargers had. I've always liked Gerald Everett. I've always liked his game. You know, he has the body of one of these guys who can be a really, really top tier tight end. He's just not used in that way, and I really don't know what it is. I don't know if he doesn't, you know, learn the playbook or whatever, but he has the athleticism, he has the body type of a guy who can be really, really good. He's big, but he's very athletic. He can run. You know, I seen him. He blocked a lot. You know, when he was with the Rams. He can pretty much do it all from the tight end position. I don't know why he hasn't gotten his opportunity to shine or to be like the number one tight end on a team, but hopefully he gets that opportunity with the Chargers. I think he can really do some really do some good things for the offense, like especially working down the middle of the field. He's got a pretty big catch radius. He can jump a little bit too. So I'm excited to see what Gerald Everett does. I think he is the most underrated signing that the Chargers have had, and I think he's going to have success in the offense. Especially with the receivers that the Chargers have, he's going to get a lot of opportunities to work one-on-one against linebackers, against some smaller safeties, and I think he's going to succeed this year. So look out for Gerald Everett. Very, very underrated signing. But obviously these signings are all, and just like I said in the video that I did a couple weeks ago after the draft, these signings all point to Brandon Staley wanting to become a more physical team. And, I think all of these signings are going to help the Chargers get to that goal of becoming a more physical team on both sides of the ball. Obviously, you want to have that physical presence because you do not want to, and we went over this several times, you don't want to depend on Justin Herbert to, make magic every single play and get the Chargers out of jams. You want to be able to knock other guys in the mouth, knock mouthpieces out, dislodge guys from the ball. You want to be able to run the ball, right? Have the opposing team come out and know that you're going to run the ball and still run it down their throats for 8 to 10 yards or whatever. So I think that all of these signings, all of the draft picks, all of it goes to having a more physical roster, and it's there. It like Brandon Staley. I seen his presser last week. They're getting close to where they want to be, but they're still not there yet. So I mean, even with all the movement that has happened this offseason, they still don't feel like they're there yet. So I'm happy that they're not content with just these signings. They want to get better. They want to get more physical as the years go on. So that's definitely a great sign if you're a Charger fan. Tom Telesco deserves a lot of credit this year. He's a guy, he's taken a lot of flack, and rightfully so, for a lot of years. This is his 10th season. This is going to be his 10th season as a Chargers GM. And personally, I think his leash was getting short, with the Spanos family. A lot of the signings, the early signings when he first took over, right, 2013 to 17 or whatever, there wasn't, there wasn't too much as far as free agency goes. Now, there were some good draft picks and all that stuff, but the best teams, the Super Bowl winning teams, they hit in free agency. They hit on the draft. And they do it over and over again constantly. And I think Telesco has kind of a hit and miss record. So I think the pressure was on him. I think the Spanos family made it very clear to him that he had to go out and do all this, right? You have a quarterback who is one of the best quarterbacks in the league, and he's making $6 million a year. So you have to surround him. You have to take all that money that you are going to pay Justin Herbert in the future, and you have to use it now to maximize the talent around him, maximize what you can do on both sides of the ball, right? You have to use all of that money, every single penny of it, to get better, right? To, put yourself in that Super Bowl window. And he did that, and he deserves credit for it. And he deserves credit for the management of the cap as well, too. You look at the J.C. Jackson contract. J.C. Jackson should have got a lot more money than what he got now, especially all the money that the receivers are making now, right? The receiver market is booming. That means the DB market is going to boom as well, too, because the DBs are the guys who are, guarding the receiver. So if the receiver market is up, the best receivers are getting paid the most money, then the best quarterback's going to be getting paid the most money as well, too. So I think you have to credit Telesco for, being able to put this team together. I don't know if he was able to convince J.C. Jackson to take less money or whatever, but hey, it worked out in everybody's favor. The ink is dry on the contract, so the money that he's guaranteed and the money that he is allocated that's what it is now. So, but he does deserve credit. He has really finagled the cap, and he has allowed the Chargers to continue to make moves and continue to make moves. And even after the training camp cuts or the June 1st cuts and all that stuff, the Chargers are still going to have a little bit of space to make a few more moves as well, too. So they might not be done as well. But Tom Telesco deserves a lot of credit this offseason. This is something that the Chargers should have been doing a long time ago. But obviously with the different coaches, the Mike McCoy, the Anthony Lynn years, there's no philosophy going forward. It's just a Phillip Rivers led team, and whatever happens from there. And that's pretty much what it was. And I covered that in a video before. But now there's philosophy. There is infrastructure on this team. There's infrastructure in the organization, and this is really how Super Bowl teams are built. They're built, now, right, in the offseason, from owner all the way down. So I believe that the Chargers are really in that Super Bowl bubble now based off of this offseason. But again, this is all going to be on paper right now. None of this is really, a foregone conclusion. This is all on paper now. But this is as good as you can get pretty much on paper. In the NFL, you're not going to be able to, have the cap flexibility to get every best player at every single position. You're going to have to make do at some positions, right? You're going to have to rob Peter to pay Paul, so to speak. But this is probably the best you can do as far as the offseason goes, right? Surrounding a superstar quarterback with veteran guys, with talented guys who are proven, and with rookies and undrafted guys who are talented and who are willing to learn, right? And guys who can plug in and give you some snaps, right? Guys who are not going to come in and be expected to be superstars, but guys who can come in and contribute. And I think that whole dynamic that the Chargers have now, even with all these signings, everybody just has to come in and contribute. Nobody has to come in and be a superstar. Nobody has to come in and have the best season of all time. All these guys got to do is come in and do their job and contribute. And if they do that, the Chargers are going to look really, really good. Last but not least, I think and I don't really want to, I'm not trying to compare the two, whatever, but I think in Brandon Staley's mind, I think what he wants to make the Chargers is the West Coast version of the Baltimore Ravens, right? Run the ball, stop the run, right? Be physical at every single position. And I think that is the mindset that was the mindset going into this offseason. And I think that's going to be the mindset going into the following off seasons as well too, right? Let's get guys that fit our culture, right? Let's get guys who are obviously, high character and all of that stuff, but let's get guys who are physical, right? Let's get guys who, play with a low pad level and want to knock somebody's head off, right? These are the type of guys that we need on the squad. And I'm pretty sure that was the mindset, because all of these signings, the draft picks, it lets you know that the Chargers want to get more physical. And they have already succeeded at getting more physical just on the personnel side, right? Now, obviously, it has to translate, onto the field. But this is probably the most physical Charger team that I've seen on paper in a very, very long time. Like I said, the 06 team was the absolute most physical team that I've seen, right from number 1 to number 53 on the roster. All those guys were physical, and they all played with a physical purpose out on the field. And this team kind of mirrors it a little bit, right? As far as the talent goes, as far as the talent of distribution goes on offense, defense, with all of that, it kind of mirrors it just a little bit. So I think Charger fans can be very, very excited for the upcoming season. And as far as the grade that I will give the Chargers for this offseason, I'm gonna give it a B+ for right now, right? The free agency grade, I'm gonna give it a B+. And the reason why is just like I said, this has to translate onto the field, right? It has to translate. It's got to come together in minicamp, right? Guys got to start gelling. They got to start, developing rapport, developing chemistry with each other, right, on both sides of the ball. Minicamp to training camp, right, to preseason, and then, into the regular season. All of this stuff has to gel. So this is a B+ right now on paper, right? But, it's up to Staley, it's up to the coaching staff. Both sides of the ball, it's up to them to get these players up to speed, right? To get them comfortable in the system, and to ultimately get them to perform, at their positions, every single Sunday, Thursday, Monday night, whenever they play. It's up to the coaching staff to do that. So, Tom Telesco, he went to the store, he got the groceries, and now it's time for Brandon Staley, Joe Lombardi, and the rest of the coaching staff to cook the meal. And that's pretty much where we're at right now, right? The groceries have been bought. Now let's start preparing the meal. And I think everybody's going to be happy. If you're a Charger fan, I think you're going to be happy at the end of the season, towards the middle of the season. Whenever you realize that the Chargers are really in that Super Bowl contention bubble. So I think, you know, you can expect a lot of success this season. I don't want to get into the whole thing about, you know, Chargers are going to the Super Bowl and all this stuff. I really don't want to get into that. I do personally believe they will win the AFC West, right? They'll win the division. But as far as Super Bowl, it's too early. There's too many things that can happen between, you know, now and February, right? There's a bunch of things that can happen, right? Injuries come up. There's you know, things happen, you know, guys' personal lives. So there's too much, way too much that we don't know, right? Too much unknown to be saying that the Chargers are going to the Super Bowl. But I will say that this is how you do it. This is how you get to the Super Bowl. It starts off, you know, in March, right? Free agency, then the draft and all that stuff. This is how you do it. And they have, you know, really, you know, showed the determination that they are going to put the best team that they can together. And, you know, I think that is to be commended. But again, you know, until we're out on the field, until we see what's going on, and until we see that this team is a fit together and they can gel together, then, you know, I think you have to kind of temper your expectations, and you have to, you know, kind of put the brakes on a little bit, just a little bit. I'm excited for this, but put the brakes on a little bit. Let's see what this team does, and let's see how they fit together on the field. But that's pretty much what I got for that, man. It's a B+ right now. It's a B+. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens when they get on the field, and, you know, hopefully they're able to put everything together, and hopefully it comes together rather quickly, right? This is the second year of the Brandon Staley system. Same offense as well, too. So hopefully the new guys can just plug in, learn the playbook, learn what they need to do, right? Be able to communicate, be able to build chemistry with each other, and, you know, hopefully that shows up on Sundays. But there's a lot of time between now and then, so that's really all we can leave it right now, is, you know, B+ on paper. But, you know, we'll see what happens going forward. That's pretty much all I got for this one, guys. Please, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing to the channel. Please consider liking this video too if you like the content that I'm doing. It really does help me out in the YouTube algorithm. But that's pretty much all I got for this video, guys. I will be back with much more content coming out very soon. The NFL schedule is going to drop this week, so I'll be covering that as well too. And you know, I'll be touching on a few more other things as well. So that's all I got for this one, guys. Please subscribe to the channel, and thank you guys for the support, and I will see you later.